This is the cancer awareness game, and you can see as you look at the shoes and the gloves and the helmet to the left, each of the players will be able to choose either a pink ribbon to put on their helmet, which is for breast cancer awareness, a yellow one, which is for testicular cancer, or a purple ribbon, which is for all other types of cancer. And I will actually, the coaches will do the same. I will have a purple on my shirt as we prepare for the ball game, and each one of them will dedicate the game to someone in their life that they've either lost or that currently has cancer or that has had cancer and is in remission, and we'll make them aware of that. And we always think this is something that the players brought it to us. I think it was Lamar Houston a number of years ago because the NFL was doing it, and the players want to do this at some point for each year. So that's important to them, and they go in and they actually choose with Chip Robertson, our equipment manager, which color they want, and then that's matched to their helmet before the game on the weekend. Practice yesterday was good. I thought the guys came out, worked really hard. I thought I really saw some improvement on defense, and I expect to see much more this weekend. We know that they've got two quarterbacks, Jake Walters, a junior college quarterback who can run and throw. The same with Sam's, but Sam's has got some characteristics very much like Colin Klein, and he's 6'2", he's 207 pounds, he can run, he's physical, and Coach Snyder likes all the quarterback runs, and that's something that we haven't stopped the last 2 weeks, so we fully expect to see that coming in this weekend. We said on Monday if he didn't have it in, he'd put it in after watching the last two ball games. So we feel like that's something he can do. Offensively, just going back and studying the week, we want to be the offense we saw in the second quarter, and we absolutely don't want to be the offense we saw in the second half. And we cannot have that happen again. We also want to be more aggressive on offense. We discussed it on 3rd and 8 down in the red zone. We still got to try to score touchdowns and go after it. We're not playing well enough across the board right now not to score 40 points a game, and that's what this league's going to do. That's what this league's going to have, and we've been unsuccessful in those areas for the last 2 weeks. The injury report that John Bianco gave to you yesterday is still the same. The trainers will try some of the guys, work them out early in practice today to see who will practice and who will not. You still have a chance for some guys to practice tomorrow if they can't practice today. Usually if they don't practice on Thursday, we haven't allowed them to play in the past because they need to be out there and they need to get some practice. So a lot of times, most of the time, if they can't do something on Wednesday, they usually can on Thursday. So that's totally determined by the doctors, and they will work the guys out and probably doing it right now after their meetings, and then they will tell us whether they're limited or not, or whether they're turned loose or not, or whether they can't practice at all today. And no one was ruled out today this morning in our staff meeting, but they said they will follow their progress for the next 2 or 3 days. Questions?
If Ash is still not a go, what Case is able to do this week, almost knowing that there's anyway, does it open up more things for him, for Case?
Yes, I think the fact that Case started last week and played the whole game, got a little bit at the end of Brigham Young, would help him. If David doesn't play this week, we'll look at playing Tyrone. As we said, we thought David would be back Sunday, so that's the reason we didn't put Tyrone in the fourth quarter, because we didn't want him to play 10 plays and then be out for the rest of the year if Case and David were well and moving forward. And after this weekend's game, we'll have an open date, Kansas State, a long week, Oklahoma, and then another open date. So we'll have 3 more weeks there to get some of these guys back, hopefully, and get them back in the lineup.
Mack, is Thursday the first chance David would have, or is there a chance?
They're evaluating as we speak, Mark. So they will take him out today. He was at practice yesterday, but they will take him out today and evaluate that and tell Major what he can and cannot do.
Could David play practice Thursday and still play in your mind?
I don't know. We'll wait and see tomorrow.
Same with Mike Davis.
Yes.
How do you balance that? Even in game, Mike's not 100%. You know, obviously, you want to keep your top guys on the field, but you got John Harris, Marcus, and freshmen. How do you balance that?
Yeah. Usually, our experience is if guys do not practice during the week, they don't play well on Saturday. Or if they're limping during the week or they're not practicing well, they really don't play as well as a guy with lesser experience that can be out there full speed. And there's also something about your team when a guy works so hard all week to prepare to play, another guy doesn't practice at all, and you put him in the game over him, and he's not prepared. Because if you didn't need to practice, we wouldn't be practicing. I mean, so Marcus Johnson will step up and help us if Mike's not available, and John Harris as well.
Any of the freshmen looking any better receiver?
Yeah, we've already played one of them, and he continues to do well. Ja'Cory Warwick and Montrell Meander is working some. We still haven't decided who else would play, but he has worked all week in preparation.
Mack, has Shavasti Collins been moved to secondary?
Yes, he is. At this point, is not a factor. If he does play this year, it would be on special teams. But we told him he would have his choice, and he played wide receiver for part of it, and he wanted to go over and look at defensive back since he's a guy with a chance to redshirt this year.
Trey Walker mentioned you guys had a conversation, I think it was at their media stuff yesterday. How'd that go?
Trey was great. He's a tremendous player. I don't know him as a person, but he called and apologized for the comments he made, and I told him that I totally understood. I've made some that I wish I had back myself. But he's a really good player and a nice young man.
In fact, Bill Senator said he talked to you as well and said he feels like you'll dig your way out of this, what you're going through. How important is it for you to have a few coaches not involved with your program but in other programs you could talk to?
Well, I've been around a long time and got a lot of friends in this business, and friends understand. They get it. Most of them been in a hole at some place or other at some point or other, and if they haven't, they will be. That's just part of our business and part of who you are, and coach's nature is to fight back and compete and get it fixed, and that's what we're doing.
When you're talking about that resiliency, when on your timeline here did it really hit that all this doesn't matter? I know it was early, but was there ever a certain game, certain OU loss, any of it where you finally were like, you can look back and you learned?
I think after 03, when we lost to Washington State in the bowl games, where it really hit me, because there were so many rumors about there were regents meeting with me to fire coaches, and I had to fire them and demand them. And Lord, I was at the coaches clinic in Orlando with two of them that I'd supposedly turned loose. And my daughter called crying and said, "Dad, did you quit?" I said, "I don't have any idea what you're talking about." And that's when I said, this is just ridiculous. So go back and coach. Do what you're supposed to do. And you learn to worry about the things you can control and not the rest of it. If we win, everything's fine. If you lose, it's not. I mean, that's the way this business is. And the other thing you learn, and especially if you coach at a place like Texas, is that it's fair to have opinions. I mean, I got mine. And coaches, when they give their opinion, there's a lot more people talking about their opinion than I talk about yours. But you have a right to have your opinion. Fans have a right to have their opinion. And very honestly, coaches do too. And I hope that I didn't speak out for a long time here, because it gets bashed when you say what you think. And what I've learned is I would encourage coaches across the country to speak out, say what you think, and make it very clear that some of the opinions are yours and some of the opinions are yours as head coach at the university. But I can have personal opinions. I have a personal opinion about targeting, and I've talked about it. I talked about it on Monday. I wouldn't have that opinion as the head of the AFCA, because that's not my position to represent them. That would come from Coach Taft. I couldn't have that opinion as the head coach at Texas, because if I had that opinion as just the head coach at Texas, then I would be talking about officiating as that. Now, as a head coach, a person myself, I think we can improve that rule by, when we take it upstairs, if it's not a penalty, then don't penalize the team. I think that's only fair. So I think you can departmentalize those things, and if I had gotten mad at everybody that said something rude about me or ugly about me for 16 years here or 30 years as a head coach, Lord, I'd be miserable. I'd be walking around all the time miserable.
Like you touched the other day on why one team has the other team's number. Does the style of play have anything to do with that? Does one style of play work better against another style of play? Or does Kansas State have to do anything in their system that you guys have a problem with?
I don't think so. I think you go back and look at us in Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska's program was very much like Kansas State's. They were physical running football teams with quarterback runs and great defensive teams with the black shirts. So I really don't think it has anything to do with that.
Mack, you mentioned wanting to see the offense be more aggressive on their half of the field as compared to the last game. Is there anything different this week that you talked with Case about or with Major about that fans can expect to see play calling wise on that half of the field?
I think probably more wide open the second half than what we want to do is be the team we were in the second quarter. Midway through the first quarter and the second quarter, that's who we want to be. It's out there, and I've talked to the coaches. The players were good enough to get all over Ole Miss defensively in the second quarter. So let's don't talk about the players not being good enough. They're good enough. We got to coach them. The players were good enough to score 23 points the first half and should have scored 27 minimum because we ended up messing up a situation, first and goal at the 2, and you can't do that. So you can score 27 points the first half. You ought to score 27 the second half. So that's on us as coaches, and we've got to do a better job.
Did you feel like it was cautious play calling? You'd like to see more aggressive? Is it as simple as that? Or?
No, it's more complicated than that. What happened is there were a lot of things that changed up front, and we've got to do a better job of getting the ball out on the flanks, whether it's outside runs or passes outside.
Matt, you talk about assignment football with K-State. Has it been easier to prepare for them because you kind of know what's going to happen?
Well, it is because they're the same team they were when I came into this league 16 years ago. If you go back and look at every defensive call that was made by Kansas State in 1998, it's the same ones today. If you look at their offense, it's the same today. So you know where these guys are. They just get you in a fight. And they take care of the ball, and they've got a great kicking game. That's their MO, and it's been that way for years. And we had a game to hold them to 123 yards total offense 2 years ago and got beat, which I don't think I've ever been in a game like that before. And it's because they're so good on defense, and we turn the ball over. So we've got to do a great job of stopping their run on Saturday night, which we have not done. We've got to do a great job of being balanced on offense and staying aggressive. And we've got to win the kicking game, and they've got the best kicking game in the country. So all those things are hard to do, but I think this is a good test for us to see if it's time for us to step up, and that's what we're planning on doing.
Mack, you've had Tyrone Swoop since January. Do you feel like as the season has progressed, he's at a point now where you would feel comfortable, beyond just the redshirt part of this, just that you'd be comfortable with him on the offense?
We do. We've got a limited package for him. We had him ready to go the other day. He got really set back because he missed most of preseason, and that kind of got him out of the mix at that position because we were too far down the road. And now with David's injury, we've had to go back and ramp him back up. He was actually working with a scout team some before 2 weeks ago. So now he's got to get back and go full speed ahead, and he's got to be prepared to play. Even if David plays, David could get hurt, Case could get hurt, he could be the only quarterback Saturday night. So we've got to have him prepared, and that's what Major's done with him. He's told him, you be prepared every week to play. And if you don't, you're redshirted, but you be prepared to play every week. And that's another reason I really hope we can get this rule changed where we can give a guy 5 games per year and it doesn't cost him a year, because you wouldn't have been hesitant to put him in the fourth quarter the other night unless you thought he was going to cost him a whole year.
If David's out, is that almost a decision that has to be made before the game? It's to play Tyrone. I mean, it's kind of risky, third series of the game. It's okay, Tyrone, let's go and throw you to the wolves.
Well, we've talked about that. We talked about it last week, and we were playing so well on offense in the first half. Case hit 11 of 13, so we passed it and went on. So that's
It depends on the game plan.
yeah, it does. That's why everybody comes. These things are not written in stone. I wish they were. It'd be easier. They're not video games.
You mentioned encouraging coaches to speak out. I assume not to both leagues level. Do you think that's unfair from 2 years old, and the fact that he didn't know he was being paid?
I've learned that what's fair and unfair is in the eyes of the beholder. So I mean, it may be different in my opinion to somebody else's. Secondly, you can't use something in a court of law that's taped without somebody's permission. So I would never, ever tape anything that somebody said in a private setting and play it publicly. So I disagree with whoever played it. I don't know who they are, don't care, but I don't think that's fair. And I think me, all of us need to understand right now that there is very little privacy in our modern world. And if you say it, you all on or off camera, you all on or off radio, you all on or off a recorder, I've told our coaches and I've told our players, don't you ever say anything at any time to anybody that you won't mind seeing in public, because that's what it is. It's a public setting. So that's what you do.
Do you have Twitter rules for your players now this year?
What we've always had, a thing called due diligence, and what it does is due diligence is just a monitoring system. If there's something vulgar on there, or if there's something about race, about guns, about drugs, then compliance brings them in and talks to them about it immediately. But we do not have any rules. We've asked our guys not to talk about our team on Twitter, but obviously they can if they want to. And I don't check them. I'm on Twitter with all of our pro players. I'm not on Twitter with any of our current players because I want them to have some privacy.
Mac, just in terms of recruiting, I know you can't mention those guys specifically, but what are you and the staff expecting this weekend from visitors? Do you expect it to be one of the bigger home recruiting?
We do. It's a huge weekend, and because we're one of the bigger games around and an ABC game, so we're expecting a great group to come in this weekend.
John mentioned yesterday that Lily's moving over to tight end. Is that a long-term thing or just a stopgap?
Well, with Greg Daniels out, we don't have a third tight end ready to go. So Caleb had played over there. He did really well yesterday. We plan on playing him in the ball game. And what we'll have to see, number one, Mike, is how long Greg's out. We don't know. It's an ankle injury, and we've got the 10 days or so before Iowa State. But if it's a year thing, then we'd have to look at leaving Caleb over there at least till we get through. But he really did a very good job yesterday of moving over quickly and having recall and also catching the ball. He caught the ball better yesterday than he did when we were working him every day in drills.
I guess that shows you have confidence that you're pretty well set at defensive end then, right?
Yes, right now Bryce Cottrell would go in before Caleb would at defensive end. So we thought it was a break for Caleb, and at the same time we thought it was a chance for him to get on the field more readily.
What's been the biggest struggle with the run game so far?
Consistency. If you the word about our whole team, they're trying. They may be trying too hard. That's hard to tell. Coaches are trying, but the inconsistency of this football team is what's killing us. We have a great kicking game the other night. Anthony Farrah is one of the national award winners this week, but we punt one ball down the middle and we don't tackle a guy, and it cost us 7 points. We're in a position where we're first and goal at the 2 and we flinch. Then we're first and goal at the 7 and we flinch. You can't do those things. Why do you play great a second quarter and stink a third? I mean, I don't know. So defensively, I said I've given our guys a break. Greg Robinson will have 6 practices now before he has to go out there against a good Kansas State team. But offensively, I want to see us pick it up, and I've told them that. But it's just about consistency, and that's what it is. Players are good enough. We got good enough coaches. We got good enough plans. We got to execute them, and we got to execute them for 60 minutes. And we say on one time, I'll get mad and say we don't handle adversity well. We were down 14-0 and handled it really well. We came back and went way ahead. So it's all there. We got to do it. We got to play it.
Mac, just in terms of the mindset of the players, do you feel they're pressing at all? Are they confident? What do you sense from this team right now?
I told the coaches this morning, when you flinch on the goal line, you're probably pressing, trying to make things happen too badly, and but it's part of life. You get some adversity, you got to step up. You got to step up and handle it well. And the coaches have to handle the adversity. The players have to handle it too, and that's part of learning. It's part of being a good football team. Good football teams handle adversity. Good staffs handle adversity. Others don't. So we have no excuses.
Have you felt yourself being more psychologist this week than any other time recently in what you're saying, or do you feel like they truly believe that we can, with one game, we can get things turned around?
There's no doubt they believe it. They're pumped about the start of Big 12 play. That's been their goal since before. It's perfect timing for us to have a tough team that we haven't played against to start Big 12 play and get new hope here, new life. And they want to prove that we've can get back on track here. I was probably more psychologist last week. I've been pretty direct this week.
How have they handled putting the blinders on to with
That,
everything that's going on?
they're great. They've handled it for 3 years, 4 years, whatever they've been here. I mean, you have it here all the time, so it's not like it's new.
You were talking about how you, through the years, you're not afraid to say things, and the fact that you pointed to this year, and got people really, the expectations high, it didn't seem like you're backing off that.
I'm not backing off at all. I still think this team's got a great shot. We got a chance in every game that's left, and because I've seen it. I've seen it in practice. It's a great group of young people that are trying. It's a staff that's hanging together, and they're all admitting what they're messing up when they mess it up, and because of that, you got a chance to fix it. It's not a team. I thought I didn't feel the same way in 2010. I said that at that time. It was good. It was bad. This bunch is really trying. They're working every day at practice. We haven't had bad practices. Seniors are working to step up. So I'm enjoying this team. I just want them to play better, and I want us to coach them better.